Fab. Okay, so we just wanted to say, I know we've met a few of you already, so hello and welcome to today's Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine MSc Open event. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Kate Thomas. I'm the events officer here in the Faculty of Medical Sciences at UCL and your chair this afternoon. We're hoping this session will address those course-specific questions you may have about this exciting MSc programme and will help you to gain an insight into a bit more about an overview and what you'd be learning if you decided to join this course. And I am so delighted to introduce our speaker, Professor Gavin Jowell, who will provide you with a summary of the programme, and there'll be a Q&A session and plenty of interactive opportunities for you all to join in throughout today's session. I have promoted, I think, a selection of you to panellists, but I will, as we're a smaller group, I will promote everyone to panellists as well. So hopefully we can get a nice discussion going. So just to let you know, the session is being recorded and will be made available on our website following today's event. We're here to respond to your questions, so please share those throughout. You can either use the chat, the Q&A function, or if you're feeling brave as a panellist, please do switch your camera on. We'd love to meet you. And so now to introduce our speaker, we have Gavin Jowell. Professor Jowell is the programme lead for the MSc in Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine here at UCL. Gavin leads a research group who are developing our understanding on how materials interact within biological environments to create better biomaterials that have reduced failure rates and have increased functionality. This includes materials that induce regeneration, tissue engineering, and improving nanoparticle targeting. So I just want to say thank you so much, Gavin, and now over to you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So yes, please ask me any questions you want about the course, anything you want to find out about, research projects, student experience, career destinations. Please feel free. I think this is the upcoming year will be the 12th year that we've been running this course. So we do have, quite a lot of graduates and alumni, so we know where people go or end up after the course. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and talk a little bit about our course. Good, hopefully you can all see that. Okay, so nanotechnology and regenerative medicine. So these are newish technologies that do have huge potential to change the way we treat patients and to benefit patients. And in the course, we discuss tissue engineering and tissue engineering concepts. We talk about organ regeneration, about nanoparticles and how they can be used to target diseases, to have a higher payload of drug where it's needed and avoid systemic effects. And also about how cells interact with materials and how we can have improved materials. My research is broadly around how materials interact when we put them in the body, and how can we change the material properties to change the interactions. How can we get biomaterials or materials to do more, to last longer if it's for an orthopedic implant or a breast implant, or deliver higher amounts of drug to where it's needed in the case of regenerative medicine or nanomedicine. I do a lot of research on tissue engineering and about material cell interactions and about nanomedicine, which you can all ask me about. I think at the moment I have, how many PhD? I have about 8 PhD students and a postdoc. I think 6 of them are doing bone tissue engineering at the moment, and 2 of them are doing nanomedicine interactions. Oh, there they are. That's my research group. Good. I've got some PhDs, postdocs, and some undergraduate and MSc students there. So the course as a whole consists of nanomedicine, tissue engineering, cell material interactions, and biomaterials. There is a real research focus. So all the module leads are academics. who have research groups and are interested in research. And there's a real focus on critical analysis of that research. So in terms of what we were talking about earlier, in terms of which technologies have the most potential to change patient lives, then one of the big hurdles in that is having better research output, doing studies that are more robust, more repeatable, and can be translatable. And these are areas we discuss in the course. These are the course leads, lots of lovely people. The other thing I'd say about the course leads is we are, just like tissue engineering and nanomedicine, regenerative medicine as a whole, we come from different backgrounds. My undergraduate was in biology, and then I did a PhD in orthopedic implants, so looking at the interaction in the body. And then I did more tissue engineering. So I'm more of the biological side of interactions, whilst Kate Ricketts is a physicist, and she's more interested in the physical properties of nanoparticles. Hayley is a cancer researcher. Hirak is a biomedical scientist. So we have different skills from different backgrounds. Mattia is a stem cell biologist. So the basic structure of the course, we have a number of core modules, and we have the research project. The research project is worth 50% of the course. The only optional module you have choices-wise is whether you do translation of nanotechnology, or we do stem cells in regenerative medicine. We've timetabled these so that you can attend both, but you will only be assessed on one of these optional modules. It's unusual for a master's course to have a complete 50-50 split in terms of research project and talk components. And we do this because we think a real strength of our division as a whole is the research we do. And we really want you to get engaged in the research too, both as a learning tool, but also for your future development and potential publications or engagement in the research community. So this is how the overall course kind of looks. In the first term, we have 4 talk modules with exams either before or after, when you come back after Christmas. There's a second term where you have 2 talk modules and you start engaging in your research project, and then the research project will go up until the end of July. We try to get you engaged with your research project halfway through the first term. So we have a project day around in November time where the supervisors will present their projects, and you get a research project booklet where you can choose your project. And then we want you to get you engaged in your project as soon as possible, but we understand you have exams and talk materials. So there's engagement period before you're full-time on your project. Just to go over the modules briefly. So we have one module that's led by Kate Ricketts on nanotechnology medicine, and this talks about why size matters, the importance of size in terms of determining biological interactions, how we can get nanoparticles to where we need them, which is a big issue in terms of targeting those nanoparticles and preventing them from going where we don't want them to go. We talk about how to characterize those nanoparticles as well, and about nanoparticle toxicity. Kate is a radiotherapist, and she's very interested in how nanoparticles can enhance radiotherapy. So there's the component of that as a module lead, as well as other topics in terms of imaging, quantum dots, nanotoxicity, that's me, nanomedicine and tissue engineering, that's also me. So this module, does have a focus on nanoparticles in terms of how we can use nanoparticles to better image disease and also better direct drugs to where they're needed. It has quite a cool assessments where the coursework component is a drug. The coursework component is a poster where students will base their research based on a particular researcher's research in the nanoparticles, and then present that to the group. And there's teas and wine. This is Kate here. and this is the group from a couple of years ago. I lead a module on tissue engineering, and this is kind of introduces students to how tissue engineering is used in medicine, the potential, and also the challenges. We talk about different types of tissue engineering approaches. So there's kind of two main approaches in tissue engineering, where you grow tissues outside the body, and you do this by normally extracting cells from the person, expanding them in culture, adding them to a tissue scaffold, growing it some more, and then putting it back in the person. And that's called like in vitro tissue engineering. So when you see those beating hearts, that's the type of tissue engineering they're talking about. And perhaps a newer approach is in situ tissue engineering, where we have a material which we put directly in the body that's been functionalized in a certain way to change the behavior of the cells surrounding it after implantation, to encourage regeneration in situ. And we also have a number of people talking about nerve tissue engineering, or their speciality, bone tissue engineering for modeling disease, which is very interesting. Tomorrow, we're going to have our expert panel debate, the future of tissue engineering, where a few experts in tissue engineering from around UCL discuss where they think the biggest challenges are to develop tissue engineering, and possibly why we haven't made as much progress in the last 25 or 30 years. One of the concepts we talk about is decellularized scaffolds, where you have a tissue and organ normally from the person, which we decellularize, add the patient's own cells, so that you don't have a non-self recognition or immune response following implantation. And this is a very hot topic in the last few years in terms of a way to generate whole organs. But we take quite a critical view of how these decellularized scaffolds can actually be used to develop our understanding of disease, as well as regenerating whole organs. This has quite an interesting assessment, where we really want to engage you in the research that's being done, and being critical about the research in the field. So I don't want to scare people off, but one of the exams we have for this component is I will give you a research paper which you will have to critically examine and give me critical feedback using a pro forma and some help within 24 hours. Another module is biomaterials and regenerative medicine. Here we introduce concepts of different materials that we can use in the body, and how they interact with biological systems. Good. There's a statistics research methodologies module, which we use to make sure everyone is aware of this, the robust statistical approaches that we need to use in the research. There's a practical module that's after Christmas, and the practical module is there to develop lab skills, particularly focusing on cell culture and cell analysis and interaction with materials. The two optional modules that you can have in terms of the talk components. There's a translational project module where Amy Lee will talk about how to translate these technologies and how to increase the translational potential. And this is informing groups where you will develop your own ideas on a particular technology and present that to a Dragon's Den. Research projects. So all these research projects are kind of real projects which the researcher wants to get completed. They want to have data to produce the papers. Projects are allocated, like I said earlier, like before December, hopefully in November, so people are engaged over the Christmas period to do some background research before they carry on with the research. And there's lots of exciting different types of projects that reflects kind of the diverse nature of the research area and the expertise of the principal investigators, the academics that are present in our department. So nanocomposite grafts, we have some vascular graft researchers and clinical surgeons who are interested in developing better vascular grafts. and functionalizing them with different components. Nanoparticle tumor targeting, so using nanoparticles to target particular tumors. Tissue engineering, lots of different types of tissue engineering projects in musculoskeletal, stem cell differentiation, using different topographies or materials to direct cell behavior, decellularized scaffold, tissue engineering. So this is what the kind of timetable looks like in term 1, where you have, as well as core modules as well, so biomaterials, tissue engineering, nanotechnology, that's the research methodologies, but there are also additional optional co-curricular activities that we encourage you to do, such as there's a weekly or bi-weekly research seminar where there's guests that are invited to our division to speak, and all the students are invited to that to engage in the research. So sometimes they're guests from outside of our department, but sometimes they're finding about research that's been completed within our department. This is Mark Post, who you might have heard from Synthetic Burgers. So he made his research group in Holland came to speak a while ago, talking about making meat. So after the meat that's derived from cow stem cells. We have personal tutor meetings, so each person gets assigned a personal tutor. I'm sure if you've been to the UK academic system, you're used to that. And their personal tutors are there to help you with your studies, but also in terms of career advice as well. We have some workshops. So we are aware that we want a cross-disciplinary intake of students that are from different more hard science and biological sciences. So we have students which are from more chemistry backgrounds or physics backgrounds, which is very useful for material science or designing nanoparticles. We also have some medics as well that join the course and different stages of their career. And we're aware that these students don't necessarily have the cell biology needed for some of the research, the tissue engineering, the stem cell module. So we provide some additional co-curricular activities in terms of cell biology, basic biology workshops. And we also have a journal club. This has been a real success over the last few years. This year it's been really highly attended. And this is the idea of this journal club, is where students present papers each week on topics in nanotechnology, regenerative medicine. We suggest some papers for them to review. They're supported by PhDs and postdoctoral researchers who are also critical or experienced in that area. Students present a critical review of that paper and they get comments from the audience. Good. As I said, it is an interdisciplinary course. We have interdisciplinary students. We have a mix of international students and home students. The course size is normally around, we try to keep it under 30, so 25 to 30 students per year. We normally have higher numbers of applicants than that. Spring term is similar to the first term, except for there's an intensive practical module in the first few weeks. And then you have your optional module as well. And then the spring term, obviously there's research facilities at the Royal Free. So good point that I should mention is most of the research and the lectures are based in the Royal Free Hospital, which is in Hampstead location. It is a hospital, we're on the 9th floor. And this is really good for like clinical engagement in our research. We have clinical academics who give us real problems, clinical problems to solve. But it's not based in Bloomsbury campus. Bloomsbury campus is around about, I can say this, I normally now, I get the little scooters or electrical bikes on going between the campuses, and it's around 20 minutes on one of those or 15 minutes on a bike. But by public transport, it's a bit longer, about half an hour. A little bit about the learning style. So we have online interactive learning as well as the face-to-face learning. The module, the course as a whole will be face-to-face, but there are online interactive learning for you to complete every week as well. And as I said, because we have interaction with surgeons and clinicians, we have real teaching challenges. So the content of the lectures addresses clinical challenges that are present, such as diabetic foot ulcers or antimicrobial catheters. The biomaterial, nanomedicine, regenerative medicine fields are not big, and we're trying to encourage students to engage with the wider cohort, the wider societies that are based in the UK and Europe as well. So I'm a trustee for the British Society of Nanomedicine, and I encourage students on the course to attend that conference every year. We hosted it a couple of years ago. And there's other centres and activities which the academics are members of, which encourage students to attend. And this is important for your career development if you want to stay in this area of research. So careers, what do people do afterwards? Well, it really depends on the student and what they're doing. So obviously we always have a proportion of medics, maybe I'm going to say 10 to 20% of the course are medics and join different stages of their clinical pathway or career structure. And they obviously continue largely with their clinical career. Lots of our scientists are engaged in doing PhDs, sorry. So I'd say more than 50% of our graduates end up doing PhDs either at UCL or elsewhere. And we're aware that one of the principal reasons that students are doing the MSc is either to slightly change their area of research or to build up their CV so that they can get a funded PhD position. And we're supportive in terms of how you can do that. But there is other destinations that people do, such as consultancy, business analyst, knowledge transfer, the biopharma companies people have gone into, or even enterprise. So one of our students from last year has started a company based on the topic that they developed, the product that they developed in the module on translation, which is pretty exciting. Good. Well, that was a short summary of our course. Hopefully you have lots of questions that you can ask me about anything.
I think I have promoted everyone to panelists. So if you're feeling brave, I know we have had a couple of questions in the chat. So I don't know if we want to ask those directly. I think we've got one from JC. I think you've been promoted as a panelist, so feel free to happy for you to elaborate on your question as well.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you.
Right. So I'll just directly jump into this question. So basically, I'm a master's degree student right now. I'm in Glasgow. But I'm looking forward to join this course hopefully next September. But my course ends at end of October, so which means there's not many time between the start of this course and my course, the end of my course. And theoretically, my diploma should be given me by December, by the end of next year. So I'm wondering, would there be any possibility that I can still come to your course next September?
So the entry requirements, if you meet the entry requirements without your master's, you can. So I don't know what your undergraduate degree was. I'm trying to think this. I think our entry requirement is quite low in that we want people who've got research experience. So I think we've set it at 2.2,
yep.
But ideally with research as well. Obviously there is some competition on the course to get in, and if there's a selection process, we do it. But to answer your question, if you meet the entry requirements without your master's, it's not a problem.
Yeah, but because there's a process like being progressed as a master degree student. So I'm wondering, like the immigration department would have any, because I'm an international student. So would they have any issue about this? Because I'm basically doing a second master degree.
So we do have a visa hotline where you can ask some questions directly. I don't know if Kate can put that in there in terms of the visa issues, which I can't really comment on, but I don't think it would be an issue. If the problem is, like you're saying, is that if you need the master's qualification before you can start, and you're not going to get that master's qualification until afterwards, then you wouldn't be able to enroll fully until you've got that master's qualification. Now, if you already qualify without the master's, then it's not a problem.
Right. So I think I can start to apply for this course now.
Good. The question I would ask, though, JC, is, do you really want to do 2 masters? Like, what's the justification for doing 2 masters?
Because because this like the material covered in this course led me really interested, and I want to get more knowledge before I go further to the next step. So I would like to have a broader knowledge before I step forward.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're thinking of doing a
Yeah.
PhD or research afterwards?
Yeah.
I think if you can make the argument in terms of changing career or a direction, I don't know what your current master's is, then you could justify that in that way.
I'm
but
doing
you know,
biomedical. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
Sorry. So it's biomedical, you're saying?
Yeah, biomedical. Yeah.
So I think you really have to ask yourself whether you can get to where you want to go without an additional master's. Now, I'm having Kate here. You know, this is an open day. I'm not trying to put you off applying, but sometimes having 2 masters may not be beneficial for your next step.
Okay.
You know, like if it has to, you want to show an upward trajectory. You want to see an increase in qualifications, and you need to justify why you're doing an additional master's.
Right.
You don't want to seem that you're not sure of what you want to do.
Okay, I understand. Right. Thank you much for your suggestion.
But I'm not saying don't apply. I'm saying just be sure, because it is still a lot of money, isn't it, to do a master's in London?
Yeah.
And you need to make sure it's the right choice in terms of your career that you're doing.
Okay.
I have popped the entry requirements, and they have an international students section as well on the page in the chat if anyone wants to look at that as well.
Good.
Right. Thank you much. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks so much, JC.
There was another question that I saw. What is ResMeth? Sorry for not explaining that. Research methodologies. So it's basic research skills in terms of focus on statistics, but also some soft skills like presentation skills, data management, systematic reviews, how to systematically look at the literature to get data out of it. So yeah, research methodologies is what ResMeth stands for.
Fab. And were there any other questions? It can be anything from about the course to even a science related question. I know that Gavin really does enjoy getting those as well. So feel free to fire away. I know that we do, I think it was it Karina who was a current student with us when we did the introductions earlier? Trying to think. Was it Karina? It's currently studying MBBS?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have any questions? Obviously, you're a current UCL student, so we're really interested in finding out a bit more about perhaps why you'd like to study this master's. Obviously, doing MBBS at the moment. Are you thinking about changing careers or?
I do have an interest to pursue surgery, and I think this master's is pretty, I would say, give a really broad perspective of what the future of medicine would be like. So I was quite interested in seeing, like, perhaps asking whether we can maybe shadow surgeons in theatre if possible.
So I say there are like more surgical related courses, masters. Again, I shouldn't be promoting my course, but there's depending on what surgical specialty you want to do, there's burns and plastics reconstruction, which is led by surgeons. There's aesthetics. There's aesthetics, I think, is more professional standard, and there's also surgical sciences, or surgical and interventional sciences, I should say. which obviously are more clinically focused, where they are kind of like surgical skills orientated. That's not to say we don't get some surgeons on our course. We've got one surgeon on this year, I think, and they're doing it, but I think they're further along in their career, and they're just interested in the research in terms of nanotechnology and regenerative medicine, and using stem cells for surgical application. So I think, it's surgery is a difficult pathway, as you know, to get into, to get the surgical numbers, and there is certainly lots of advice you can get from our current students or PhD students who are on the surgical pathway. But I would consider having a look at some of the other courses as well, which are related to surgery.
Thank you. I've actually asked, and they only allow medicine graduates to take on those, because obviously the types of training they do on those courses are for people who have already done significant training within medicine. So I don't think I'm suitable. At least I asked.
Who did you ask?
He's a plastic surgeon. He's got Asmi Ali.
I wonder if he's talking about the aesthetics, because there are some courses which are professional, and there's some courses which are targeting either graduates or, like you're doing, the intercalated. So you're a bit different. So normally we wouldn't have any students that are intercalated on a master's, but because you've already done an MSc, a BSc, you would qualify, I think.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm interested to hear more about this course. But yes, thank you very much.
Email me and I will check, because the rules will apply to all of us, I think. The only question I can think of is that if in the MBBS there's a surgical skills in the 4th year, is there a rotation?
So my friends in 2nd year now, they're applying for the IBSc in surgical sciences, but I'm not eligible for that because I've already done a BSc.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to do the IBSc in surgical science and then a master's. So, but email me, Karina, and I will give you some more information.
All right, thank you.
Great, and I can see we've had another question. I know we've got you listed as students, but please do feel free. Perhaps you would like to elaborate on your question you've popped in the chat. Are you able to join us via audio, or if not, we can answer it directly from the chat.
This is Komal, isn't it? I think student.
Yeah, maybe if we just answer it, and then obviously feel free to chip in if you want to ask any other questions, or perhaps if we don't answer it completely, just let us know. So the question is there any scope in combining stem cells with nanotechnology in therapeutical use? And so this student is very interested in any applications these two fields might hold. Oh, it's Komal.
Thank you. So certainly, like, I think when most people think about using nanoparticles, I mean, they think about it for killing cells as opposed to regeneration. And stem cells are used for regenerating tissues. And it's either what the cells produce, the stem cells, so that's the secreto, so they encourage the cells behind them to repair or regenerate, recruit blood vessels, or they can differentiate into particular cell types themselves. Now, there's two answers to this question. Some people have used stem cells to transport nanoparticles around the body. So if you want your nanoparticles to deliver growth factors or regenerative factors to, say, I don't know, a damaged fracture, or maybe a massive bone fracture somewhere, or maybe it's a brain damage in somewhere and you want to get growth factor to that particular site, then you can use stem cells to transport those. So you would culture nanoparticles with stem cells, and then stem cells will normally be recruited to sites of regeneration. So yes, there is applications. I think there's one there.
Okay, fab. Hopefully that answers your question, Kamal, but let us know if it hasn't completely, or feel free to add in. It has. Fabulous. That's great to hear. Okay. Do we have any other questions? If not, I do have a couple of questions for you, Gavin, which I can ask whilst everyone has a little think. But just firstly, I'm interested in finding out a bit about what your ideal kind of application or student for this course looks like.
So we want students that are keen on doing research. It's 50% of the course is research component. So we want students that show motivation for research. I'm very keen on applicants that show critical analysis. So they show that, not everything is rose tinted glory. We can't make 3D tissues. It's a bit about the expectations of where we are and what we can do in the short term. So we don't really mind about the discipline so much in terms of whether it's more medical sciences, cell biology, because it is a multidisciplinary field. I think if you are from a completely different field like computer modeling, then that's a harder jump to make, and you have to justify that because again it's about we want you to be successful in the course and we don't want to hinder your chances of doing well. That's it. I think the other thing to say is that we want a clearly written and well-written personal statement. So it's part of the personal statement is just about how good is your communication skills as well as what you're saying in that personal statement.
Excellent, thank you, Gavin. Well, that answers my question. We do actually have another question that's just come into the Q&A feature. So that is, do you have any course or research related with advanced drug delivery? And this person is particularly interested in its application in biopharma or hospitals. So
advanced drug delivery is a lot of the nanoparticle research. Nanomedicine is largely about how do we get our drugs to the right areas at the right concentrations, so we do cover that in that module, and there's research projects related to that in terms of liposomes for deliveries of genes or drugs, gold nanoparticles for enhanced radiotherapy, and other drug applications in terms of how do we get those drugs to the tumor sites quite often. But also in terms of regenerative medicine and in terms of designing scaffolds that have controlled growth factor release systems, we can also use nanotechnology in there. So yes, there's lots of applications that we do it, but the focus is on, I guess, the delivery vehicles as opposed to the drugs themselves. So we're not developing new drugs, we're developing ways of delivering those growth factors or drugs to where they're needed.
Great, fantastic. Well, hopefully that answers that question. But again, if anyone has any questions or want to elaborate on that last one, please do just let us know.
Hi, I just got last question about so I know in a website I know what the compulsory and optional courses we can get, but it's just the projects that available. I'm not really sure what specific projects are there to provide. So I'm wondering, is there any possibility I can get from somewhere to get a list of the projects available?
I can give you, if you email me, I can send you a project list, maybe not for this year, but the previous years, in terms of the type of projects that are being offered. There are a wide range, and they do vary a little bit in terms of the academic staff priorities in that particular year. We have this year, I think we combined some of the project delivery with another master's course, but in total we had maybe 38 students, 40 students, and around about 60 different projects. And the projects were related to regenerative medicine or biomaterials or nanoparticles, 3D printing, live 3D printing. I offered a few projects looking at bone tissue engineering and creating materials to prevent, what did I do? Bisphosphonates. Do you know about bisphosphonates? No.
No.
Okay. but there's lots of different ranges of projects.
Right. I'll email later, and
Thank you.
appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, JC. And I've popped Gavin's email in the chat as well. So please do feel free if, for instance, you want a project list like JC or have any other specific questions, feel free to email Gavin. I know he would be delighted to hear from you. And I don't know. Oh, yeah, we've got another one. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you, JC. And do we have any other questions? I know we've got 5 minutes left till we close the event. So I know we haven't heard from a couple of our attendees. So please do let us know if there's any burning questions that you have, or hopefully it means that we've answered them all. So that is great too. Great. No. Okay. Well, I think if that's everything from everyone, I will take that as hopefully we've answered all your questions, and just wanted to say thank you so much to Gavin for an excellent session, and thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. It's been so lovely meeting some of you, and we're really hoping that this event has helped you to decide the next step in your career and journey. So oh yeah. Oh, you're very welcome. Lots of comments saying thank you. So that's what we love to hear. And we do have just a very quick survey that will pop up on your browser following the event. So please do let us know if there's anything we can do to improve. Your feedback's really, really valuable to us. And yeah, like we said earlier, if you have any questions, please do email Gavin. I popped his email in the chat, and have a great evening, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone.